1958, a 36-mile-long system of roads came into being, connecting the Richmond and Petersburg cities to the main highway of the East Coast, Interstate 95. Running through 15 states and encompassing nearly 1,919 miles, I-95 is the longest north-to-south interstate in America. It is a major roadway that runs parallel to the Atlantic Ocean, linking together major metropolises like Boston, New York, Miami, and our very own Richmond. Nestled deep into the heritage of our country lies the desire, the love and the longing for expansion and for growth. As mirrored in the past with the idea of manifest destiny, the system of roadways, of interstates, and highways seems never-ending. Only now are we realizing the devastating consequences that this insatiable thirst might have on our environment. Truly, at what cost are we really paying to build yet another road? Imagine all this beauty, gone, destroyed, and replaced with this, a twisted, manufactured jungle of concrete, tar, and gas fumes. As if the original portion of the Virginia I-95 didn't cause enough environmental damage, 1,500 total acres worth of damage to be exact, the newest project to expand its lanes did even more so. Crews were sent out to clear 9 miles, roughly 100 acres, of shrubbery and trees from Prince William County to Stafford in preparation for the new construction. A representative of the Coalition for Smarter Growth, whose mission statement preaches a preservation of natural and historic areas while promoting transportation and development, said, "The studies of the expansion to I-95 really didn't look at community or environmental impacts very much, or even alternatives." He goes on to further say, "At some point, you ask the highway engineers, at what point do you stop widening the highway? But under their projections, you never stop widening the highway." The Virginia Mega Project website, where supposedly all the information and reports concerning the projects is to be found, is not very helpful. Sure, there was a PDF copy of the ironically titled Environmental Impacts Report, but the actual environmental impacts, not to be found. That is, unless you count the need for increased lanes and room for an expanding population impacts. One passage, towards the end of the report, seals the fate of the environment in terms of mega project opinion.
What factors played in the role of choosing the design and location of I-95?
In our earlier plan, the city brought in a planner, Bartholomew, in the 1940s that looked at Richmond and put together a comprehensive plan for the city that looked at housing patterns, places where utilities were needed, and neighborhoods that didn't have any connections to the sewer or central water. It was all based on infrastructure. He then looked at neighborhoods that were underrepresented. He plotted routes to the city that would take advantage of lower property values, and a path that would isolate particular communities, such as the American communities, from the African American ones with low income. So the path, it wasn't universally agreed that the path should have gone down that route. In fact, twice, residents of the city voted for it not to go downtown. Over time, leaders who wanted it to go downtown didn't listen to the voters, so it became a political decision to isolate the communities that didn't have access to downtown. It was a master plan for Richmond, and for that of I-95. It was a plan that wrecked many of the homes of the poor and burdened the city with unwanted expense.
According to an article, I-95 Express Lanes project may have had an environmental impact. It said, quote, that the studies really didn't look at community and environmental impacts very much, or alternatives for the corridor," unquote. Why do you think they did not consider the environmental impact of the highway's creation?
They did look at two different routes, Windsor Farms or through Shockoe Creek, and they probably did have a route that would have been least impactful in terms of the environment, but they picked the route that went right up the Shockoe Creek and up to the city and crossed the James. From today's standpoint, there were serious environmental impacts because of the construction in the Shockoe Creek and Valley. I think that in many ways, from the environmental impacts, there were also social impacts because of the neighborhoods that were destroyed and the many historical slave trade routes that were paved over. This highway has become an above-ground memory of one of the largest slave trade routes in America.